After Irpin and Bucha, Republic Media Network has now reached the city of Borodyanka, nearly home to about 13,000 Ukrainians. This city was captured by the Russians on the 28th of February. And now, as we come, this is what remains of the city. This residential area, as you see, not a single building has been spared. There have been multiple missile strikes that have taken place, artillery fire. And if you see right now, between those two buildings, there is one building that has been completely turned into rubble. It has been completely flattened. There was one more building that was actually standing in between these two buildings, and that's what remains right now, as you see. On my right-hand side, if you see, this building has been completely charred, and there is a hole that has been created right in between the building. And that gives you a sense of the intensity of the strikes that have taken place. That's the magnitude, the scale of the devastation that's taken place in the city of Borodyanka. If you go by the claim that has been made by the Ukrainians, they say that the death toll in the city of Borodyanka could be way above than any other city, simply because of the atrocities that have been committed by the Russian troops. Just to put this into perspective, not very far from the Belarus border, when the Russian troops were actually entering, moving towards the capital city of Kiev, it was these very cities that were being converted into their bases. That's the reason why we are being told that there is a ground which is not very far away from where we are broadcasting right now, where you would find Russian troops there, unused equipment. They're still running their live cartridges. A short while back, when we reached here in Borodyanka, there was a cassette bomb that was actually found there, and that was being diffused. So there are mines that were laid on the road, and that is the reason why when we left from the capital city of Kiev, what should have been about an hour-long journey has taken more than 3 hours for us to reach the city of Borodyanka, because most of the roads are still being, there are landmines that are there. There are mines that have been laid on the road, making our journey all the way to Borodyanka far more difficult. Even today, just days after this city has been recaptured, it is very difficult for the forces, the security forces, to ensure that the route to Borodyanka is a little bit more safer. That's the reason why the presence of Ukrainian forces is far more than other cities at this stage. They're trying to clear this off. But the initial estimate that we are being told is way more, is higher. And you can look at the scale of devastation. Not a single building that we have spotted so far hasn't been that remains untouched by the firing, the artillery firing that has been done. In fact, there are reports that suggest that Russian troops have been using these cluster munitions, which essentially would mean there would be indiscriminate firing that's taken place. Ukraine says that Russian troops, they have flouted the international humanitarian law by the kind of indiscriminate firing that has actually taken place in this area. So that gives you an idea of how intense the battle must have been in the city of Borodyanka. If you go straight down are the places where Irpin and in Bucha, where there have been thousands of Ukrainians who have been killed by the Russian troops. The same sort of images we are witnessing right now unfolding before our eyes, where we are seeing large-scale devastation, scenes of despair. And right now, all that you would see in the city of Borodyanka is mostly international press. Locals aren't really here. Some people are trying to come back and figure out if anything remains in their house. There are people that we have spotted who are basically collecting their own material from their houses, whatever remains, whatever has not been destroyed or damaged. So that's the situation right now in the city of Borodyanka, where we'll continuously keep getting all our viewers more reports of the situation in the city of Borodyanka. With my colleague Mridul Sharma and video journalist Surendra Singh Rawat, this is Shavan Sen reporting for Republic TV. Republic Media Network has now reached the city of Borodyanka, which is on the northwest side of Kiev. What you see right now, as we speak, there is a bomb that is being diffused just on the other side. We've just been asked to move out of this area. As you can see, I will try and focus a little bit as the local authorities here, the security service, they're currently right now, what you see on the screen right now, the gentleman, the officer there in blue, currently has found a cassette bomb, is what we are being told. As we were filming, we were asked to leave from that area. He's just ducking right now and trying to defuse the bomb that has just been found as we entered the city of Borodyanka. Remember, this is a city where the Russians had captured for several days put together, starting from the 27th as the Russians basically moved in. This is what remains right now of a city. In fact, the Ukrainians say that perhaps this is one of the worst hit cities in Ukraine, where there is also a base that was created of the Russian military. In fact, we've been told that several of the Russian equipment is still being found here. And in fact, this entire area, as we entered in Borodyanka, I'll ask my camera person also just to quickly show you one scene of what's happened to this particular building that you see right now, completely charred. We'll ask our camera person to still remain on that, because as you see, there has still been movement that's actually happening right now of the security service trying to defuse the bomb right now. That's a little distant from where we are, and still we're being told that this is continuing. So there are several live cartridges that have been found in the city. It was back on Friday when the Russian troops left from this very area, leaving behind several of their unused artillery fire and some of the mines that have been laid in this road. That's the reason why perhaps a city which would have taken us about 20 to 25 minutes to enter, it has taken us more than 3 hours. Right now, the bomb disposal squad has also reached the spot. You see those sniffer dogs are right now being brought inside Borodyanka. They're trying to defuse the bomb, which has been laid in right at the center of Borodyanka, and we are filming it from quite a distance. We've been asked to move away from this area because they just found the cassette bomb just a while back. This is the heart of Borodyanka, which has been completely demolished. In fact, there have been buildings which have been flattened, turned into complete rubble. We've also seen some international media also coming here and getting a sense of what's really happening on the ground. This is what remains right now of a building completely charred. There are residential buildings all through. There's a line of residential buildings that you see in this entire area, and nothing remains. There are cars that have been completely burnt, buildings that have been turned into rubble, and in fact you would see there is difficult to even identify right now some of those buildings because there remains nothing. We'll just go back to that visual. As you see right now, the security service as well as the bomb disposal squad currently right now at the very spot trying to defuse the bomb. What we are seeing, they've placed it and they've been asked. He's just moving out of the area where the security service is continuing with their job right now to defuse most of the ammunition. In fact, this is the area where we've been told that there is a base that was created by the Russian military. A lot of their unused equipment still lies in the area. We'll perhaps try and go to some of those areas to try and find out what's really happening on the ground. In fact, we are one of the only Indian channel currently in Borodyanka getting all the latest visuals from here. We'll keep getting you more reports from the city of Borodyanka with Mridul Sharma and video journalist Surendra Singh Rawat. This is Shavan Sen reporting for Republic TV. The scale of devastation in the city of Borodyanka is simply getting difficult to document. Every area that we have visited, we have seen large-scale destruction, scenes of despair. What you see around me are residential buildings. Over 3 to 4 kilometers inside the city of Borodyanka, we have seen almost all residential buildings that have been completely damaged. Here is yet another image of what's really happening right now on the ground here in Borodyanka. You see Ukrainian authorities, the fire brigade, the security service, they're trying to retrieve bodies from the rubble. Most of these buildings have been turned into rubble. This is the very city. On the night of 28th of February, there were low-flying fighter jets, and locals here say that moments after the low-flying fighter jets entered the city of Borodyanka, there was aerial bombardment that was taking place. There were missile strikes that were taking place. What we also saw down this road are signs of Russian troops on the ground. V signs inscribed on cars, government buildings. These buildings have been targeted by the Russian troops. There have been watchtowers that have been targeted. So there is a clear indication of the Russian troops' presence in the city of Borodyanka. If you go straight down, you would be hitting the city of Irpin and Bucha. The indication was very clear. Starting from Belarus, using the northwest axis, going through cities like Borodyanka, the Russian troops, they essentially wanted to enter the city of Kiev, which they failed miserably. But in doing so, as they moved from places in the northwest axis, they carried on this large-scale destruction. Move your eyes and you would see only destruction all around you. Buildings that have been completely turned into rubble, they have been completely flattened to the ground, and that's the situation that we are witnessing right now in the city of Borodyanka. And as I was saying, that it's only getting very difficult to document. We do not know how exactly to document the kind of devastation that we see unfolding before our eyes. Straight down the road, almost buildings on both sides have been completely flattened. And remember, this is the very city where there's been maximum aerial bombardment that has taken place. There have been missile strikes that have taken place, which is an indication that somewhere down the line in Borodyanka, they have crossed the line. Ukrainians say there have been cluster ammunitions that have been used by the Russian troops, which is a clear violation of the international humanitarian law. And there has been indiscriminating fire that has actually taken place in the city of Borodyanka. Even today, the Ukrainians are still trying to carry on with their work to try and retrieve the bodies that may have been buried under the rubble. With video journalist Surendra Singh Rawat, this is Shavin Sen reporting for Republic TV from the city of Borodyanka. In the recaptured city of Borodyanka, there are various signs that have been left behind by the Russian Federation. What you see is one of those tanks here that have been left behind, completely destroyed by the Ukrainian forces. On the other hand, there's a military truck that you see. These are armored vehicles where you would see two signs that have somewhere down the line determined this entire war. This sign, the V sign, indicates the victory that the Russian troops have been talking about. But is this the victory that the Russian Federation was actually looking at? Because right now what you see is complete destruction. These are boxes of the ammunition that remains empty. Gives you a sense of the amount of ammunition that has been used by the Russian troops. This area, let me try and describe it a little bit for all our viewers. What you see on the other side, as Mridul was pointing out, this is, I'll ask Rawatji to show you the building. That's the police headquarters of Borodyanka that has been completely charred. In fact, Mridul has spoken to some of the locals to get a sense of what's the situation right now. Mridul, just explain it to our viewers what you see.
बिल्कुल, पहले मैं बता दें कि अभी भी यहाँ पर साइन बोर्ड्स हैं और इस पर लिखा हुआ है यूक्रेनियन में कि आप समझदारी से आगे बढ़े क्योंकि यहाँ पर माइंस हो सकती हैं। उसके बाद जो अभी आपने पुलिस हेडक्वार्टर दिखाया, इसके ठीक सामने आप देखेंगे तो वॉच टावर है जहाँ निशाना बनाया गया और पूरी की पूरी बिल्डिंग जो है वहाँ तबाह कर दी गई है। मैं चाहूँगा कि आप वहाँ पर जाइए और दिखाइए। रशियन साइंस भी हमें वहाँ नज़र आते हैं और वॉच टावर को निशाना बनाकर किस तरीके से उड़ाया है वो भी नज़र आता है। वो देखिए।
So, well, what you see right now on the screens is a watchtower that was basically being used by the Ukrainian forces, has now been damaged by the Russian forces. So as they made the entry from this very city of Borodyanka, the idea was to move towards Irpin and Bucha and finally reach the capital city of Kiev. As they were moving towards Kiev, this is what we have seen, the intense gun battle that has taken place. A previous report in which we showed you the residential buildings. In fact, locals here say that on the night of 28th of February, there were low-flying fighter jets. They were circling around this very area, and immediately thereafter, there were bombardments that were taking place, resulting in this kind of damage. You see, all the cars that have been were parked here, they have been completely charred. you have fuel tanks of the Russian army on the other hand that we can see right now. They have been completely destroyed, which is a clear indication that starting from the 28th of February, as the Russian troops were moving towards the capital city of Kiev, this is where the fight was actually taking place. The entire city has been completely devastated. There's been intense shelling that has taken place. Airstrikes have taken place, and almost in every building that you see there is this V sign indicating that the Russian troops were present here, and you would find this symbol almost in all buildings in the city of Borodyanka. Important to point out here is that in terms of casualties, now the number of deaths that may have taken place, Ukrainians say that it could be higher than any other city, because there were about 13,000 people who were living here before the Russian invasion actually began. Not many people had the time to actually flee or perhaps go to safer places. In fact, we are being told that many got caught in the crossfire. That's the reason why when the Russian troops left this area on Friday, there were several dead bodies that were actually lying on the road, which the city council has now actually cleared up. But the fact of the matter is that this is a grim reminder of the war that started on the 24th, continued for several weeks put together. However, most of these cities that you see in and around the capital city of Kiev, they have been recaptured by the Ukrainian forces, and as the Ukrainian forces are recapturing most of these cities, we have seen there has been intense kind of destruction that has actually taken place, and there is a clear reflection of it on the ground. With video journalist Surendra Singh Rawat, this is Shavin Sen reporting for Republic TV. In the city of Borodyanka, we come across a bunker and a defensive position area that was being used by the Russian troops. What you see is an underground bunker that has been created. A part of the car that was hidden under the bunker. Clearly a sign of how the Russian troops were actually living in this particular bunker. There are Coke bottles, there are food plates that are lying here. And there is also these dummies that were actually created just to trick the enemy. A cross sign, also ammunition carts that have been all kept here. A clear sign of how the Russian troops were basically operating and using this very route. On the other side is it's been dug up, and tanks were actually kept here, camouflaged here using the camouflage nets, and there you see a Russian tank that is lying on the road. Of course, that was destroyed by the Ukrainians. Also here, what you see are unexploded. These are explosives that been lying on the streets right now. And as you head towards Borodyanka, there are many such signs of how the Russian troops who are actually using these very roads to enter Borodyanka. This Russian troop with the sign, the V sign, which is the short form of Vostok, used by the East Military District of the Russians, in concert with the Z symbol, which denotes the so-called special military operation of the Russians. So this entire route, as you take towards Borodyanka, you would come across several such tanks that are lying on the road. Of course, the Ukrainians were very successful in ensuring that the Russians do not move ahead. However, as we went inside Borodyanka, we saw the kind of destruction that took place because of the large-scale shelling and also the airstrikes that took place, reducing the entire city into rubbles. We are right now on the outskirts, and there is a clear sign of how this entire fight on the street actually took place. This was a defensive position of the Russian troops that we came across. With my colleague Mridul Sharma and video journalist Surendra Singh Rawat, this is Shavin Sen reporting from the city of Borodyanka.